Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Alrighty, so we have reached the end of another month, which means it is time for another reading wrap up. And without further ado, let's get into what I read in September of 2025. So first up, we have The Necromancer's Light by Tavia Lark. This adult romantasy is about this necromancer dude who hires a paladin as a bodyguard to accompany him on a journey to go banish a demon, and along the journey the two become close, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. This was cute, it was fun, it was very fluffy. It falls into like the cozy genre, so like, the world building and the characterization isn't like the most depthful of all things, but like it was serviceable. It was enough to get me invested. It was enough to get me to like things and like the world and like the lore and like the characters and all this kind of stuff. Like I liked it. It was all right. It was fun. I don't know if I'm going to read the other books in this series. I don't honestly know. Like, I may not. I don't know. It'll depend on what I feel in the future. But, like, overall, yeah, I kind of like this one. Next is Persuasion by Jane Austen. This classic adult contemporary is about this woman who let the love of her life go several years ago, 'cause it just wasn't the right time for them. Now he's back in town, and even though everyone in the family keeps trying to pair the lady with somebody else, her and the original guy are slowly reconciling things and growing closer. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like honestly that like I I don't know how exactly to put this. I enjoyed it, but I don't exactly have many thoughts on it. I want to do in the future, even though I just finished reading through Jane Austen's work just now with Persuasion, like Persuasion was the last one. But I would like at some point in the future to do a reread of all of Jane Austen's work, but especially with Persuasion, because with Persuasion, it felt very much like, okay, I'm here, I kind of like what's going on, but it's also a little bit hard to keep up with everything. So I feel like if I do a reread, I would actually be more invested, and I would like it more, like I would get more out of it on a reread. So like I don't know, like I liked it, but I also don't really have much thoughts on it. So yeah, it's just one of those books where I feel like a reread would be much more beneficial to like fully formulate my thoughts on it. So yeah. Next is On Air with Zoe Washington by Janae Marks. This middle grade contemporary is the second book in the Zoe Washington series. It's been 2 years since Zoe proved her birth father's innocence, and he is finally free from jail and able to start living life again. And now that Marcus, the birth dad, is free, he wants to try going after his dream of opening a restaurant, and Zoe is right there to help make that possible however she can, especially when it comes to making the dessert menu. But the difficulties that Marcus faces in going after that dream start opening Zoe's eyes up to the fact that rebuilding one's life after prison is filled with so many struggles, both socially and systematically, and she decides to start a podcast raising awareness about it. And I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. I would read 50 books in this series. I'm so sorry. I don't think that that's going to happen, but like I would literally read 50 books in this series. I'm so sorry. I do love this series. I love Zoe as a character. I love all the cast. I love the plot. I love the writing. I'm sorry. I know I'm way above the target demographic. Like I'm way too old for this series, but I don't care. I love it. In my opinion, I honestly think that the Zoe Washington series is like the pinnacle of middle grade literature. I really, really do think it is. Just for the way that the author is able to like take serious topics and like trust the reader, trust that young readership with them, and to like understand and get and empathize with everything that she's like trying to explain and go for. And also, while she is talking about these like more serious topics about like, prison reform, all this kind of stuff, what happens to life with prisoners after they're out of jail and all this kind of stuff. She also manages to keep everything light and fluffy and just everything that you would expect out of a middle grade. Things are still fun, they're still whimsical, it's still entertaining and joyous and all that kind of stuff. It really, really is. And I love it. I love this series so much. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Like I said, I'm way too old for this series. But even still, it did opened my eyes a little bit on this topic of like what happens, life after prison and all that kind of stuff, whether you're guilty or not, and how hard it is to rebuild one's life, with like a job, financial security, building up one's finances, all that kind of stuff, like how hard it is to do that. Because like I never thought about that before, in all honesty. Like I've never thought about that topic before, but this book got me to think about that topic and like, huh. It sounds really, really hard. It does sound like something that we should talk about more and, try and fix and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, oh my God, like I hadn't even considered that. My one gripe with this book is that, the title and, the description of it, it's all centered around like, ooh, she's starting a podcast. But like the podcast element doesn't come into play whatsoever. It's not even really thought about until about like the halfway point and so on. So like, yeah, that was just kind of interesting. But like other than that, I absolutely love this book. I love this series so much. Next is One Wrong Step by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This middle grade adventure novel is about this boy who tags along with his father and a team of scientists as the adults try to be the first people to climb Mount Everest. An avalanche occurs that traps the climbing team on the mountain, so our main character is joined by the daughter of one of the other researchers and the man who was watching them at the base camp, and together, three of them set off to climb Everest and rescue the team before it's too late. And I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Never in my life did I expect to feel like legitimate tension and fear coming from a middle grade. Never in my life, but here we are. Okay, I love the main trio. I love the environment. I love the plot. It was so interesting, and uh, I was invested from start to finish, and also just the atmosphere, the way that this author writes and just creates a like dire atmosphere. It was so fascinating because normally with middle grades you expect them to be like, light, fluffy, we're going on an adventure, it's gonna be fun, yay, blah blah blah. But this one is like, oh, we're going on an adventure and it's going to be hell. It's going to be hell. And like even though I knew it was middle grade and like you expect a happily ever after, I was still like guessing as to the fate of the climbing team because like they don't have plot armor obviously, so I was still like, okay, it's kind of sounding like they're dead, it's kind of sounding like they're not. Like I'm kind of on the edge of my seat. I don't know what's going to happen to the climbing team. Oh God, what's going to happen? Oh no. So like that was very, very interesting. I didn't expect that kind of reading experience with a middle grade, but like I honestly really enjoyed it. So like overall I really did like this. It was such a good time. Next is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. This young adult contemporary classic is about this class conflict between the gangs from the poor side of the town and the gangs from the rich side of the town. One night, one of the rich gangs tries to jump our main character and his friend, and life for both groups is quickly thrown into chaos when one of the boys is murdered. And I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Now, a little bit of lore. I actually read this back when I was like 13 in 8th grade, so like several years ago, for like, a school project, school assignment and stuff like that. And I remembered liking it decently enough at the time, but it wasn't like, oh my God, a new all-time favorite. That's exactly why I wanted to revisit it now because, I'm trying to make a more of an effort this year to read classics, and I just figured like, oh, have my opinions changed on this now that I'm a little bit older and now that I can understand it a little bit better? Like, have my opinions changed on this at all? And also, can I properly identify the climax this time? Because I specifically remember when I did this for a school project, I did not identify the climax at all, and it like was like a big hit on my grade for the entire project. And my teacher was like, yeah, resubmit this, like resubmit this. So I resubmitted it, and I still couldn't identify the fucking climax. So I was like, so going into this, I was like, okay, will I be able to identify the climax finally after all these years? And like, yes, I did. Anyway, this is fun. This is fine. It's okay. Well, it's not fun. It's heavy, but like, it's fine. It's fine. It was enjoyable enough. Like, I never once considered DNFing it. Is it an all-time favorite? No, not by any means. But like it's fine. I will say you can definitely tell that this is written by a 16-year-old. Well, was written by a 16-year-old. Because like it very much does have all of the trademarks of teenage writing. If you have ever read anything by a teenager, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That there's a certain writing style, the frequent lore dumps, things pop up out of nowhere, things are mentioned but don't go anywhere, stuff like that. Like there's all the flaws of teenage writing. Having said that, I do think that there is definitely merit for this being considered a classic. Not necessarily because of the like class war stuff. That whole topic very much like reeked of like, okay, I get what the author's going for, but this definitely would have been handled better if they had written the book when they were older. So like not necessarily with the whole class war thing, but because this book definitely like snapshots what it's like for to be like a teenager in the 1960s in like a poor town and like going through the stuff that like the character is going through because I read somewhere that the author like heavily based this off of what they were experiencing, of what she was experiencing in like her town and what she was seeing in her town and all this kind of stuff, and that heavily influences the story. So like it very much does like capture and screenshot and preserve that like mindset and worldview and like language with like especially the slang and everything of like what it was like to be a teenager in the 1960s in the poor part of town with like the rival gangs and shit and all that kind of stuff, like what this world was like, and especially in the context of this being taught in classrooms today. You definitely, if you're a younger person in school or whatever, you definitely have to like engage with the text and like really think and read to be able to understand what the characters are saying at times, because the slang is highly, highly, highly different than what like Gen Z, Gen Alpha says today, obviously. So like it's like you really do have to engage with the text to be able to understand what's going on in that regard. So like yeah, it's like yeah, there is definitely a lot of merit for this one being considered a classic. Like I really do support this one being taught in schools in all honesty. And like again, like I said, like this is an enjoyable book. Like I really did like it in all honesty. Like it's not a favorite by any means, but I really did like it. Next is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. This adult, cozy, romantic urban fantasy is about this witch who lost her magic several years ago when she brought back her aunt from the dead. Now, as an outcast from witch society, she spends her days running a bed and breakfast in the countryside with her aunt and a talking fox by her side. Eventually, she gets her hands on a spell that can hopefully bring back her magic if she is able to translate it, and the attractive warlock that just checked in might be able to lend a helping hand with that. And I gave this one a 3.9 out of 5 stars. This was very cute and very charming. It's definitely my favorite of the cozy books that I've read so far. Like I've only read like a handful of cozy books, but this is definitely my favorite one so far. It really, really is. I love the main character. I love the cookie cast. I love the environment. The environment is like by far the coziest thing that I've read so far. It really, really is. Like, oh my God, I want to live in that magical house. I really, really do. Anyway. And like, the romance was fine, the plot was fine. Like, I liked everything. I really, really did. I just everything had that like air of like enchanticism. Is that a word? Everything was enchanted. There it is. But like yeah, everything just felt like, enchanted. It was so good. It felt perfect for, spooky season or whatever. Or even honestly spring. I could honestly see this being like a perfect springtime book in all honesty also. But like yeah, I really did like it. It was just yeah, it was just very cozy and charming in all honesty. Anyway. Next is Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist by Ali K. Mulford and K. L. Morrison. This adult romance is about this witch who drunkenly summons the spirit of her dead ex-girlfriend because she never got to say a proper goodbye. Turns out summoning ghost has consequences, and now the dead ex can't leave until the witch moves on and finds someone new. And just maybe the cute girl who's new to town and works at the local cafe might be the one to finally bring the witch out of her loveless slump. I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars. Oh my god. Here's the thing, y'all. I have problems with the story, and I have problems with the audiobook. I really, really do. Those are two separate things, so let's talk about them. Alright, first of all, my issues with the book. Okay, I know it's a stereotype that like gay men are like speed run relationships. Like I know that that is a stereotype within the gay community. Lesbians, please tell me if that is a stereotype with y'all too. Like, please tell me if y'all in the lesbian community are like, oh my God, she's speed running her latest relationship or whatever. Like, because, like, girl, these two women, oh my God, they went on like two dates in like a week or so. And just in that short amount of time, they were ready to say, I love you. You are the other half to complete my life. And I was just like, ladies, y'all don't even know each other's favorite color. Like, let's stop rushing into saying, I love you. You're my other half or whatever. Like, let's be serious. It just very much felt like the book was written with like, okay, we have to hit all of the like typical expected romance tropes. We have to like speed run and hit all of those romance beats of like what's expected of a romance book and whatnot. And it didn't feel like we were like rushing those beats for any particular reason other than we could, like just we could. And I'm just like, pause, rewind, let's run it back. Let's take it a little bit slower. Like, why not? Like, it's okay. We can do that. It's okay. The character arcs of our lead characters, aka Jordan and Harlow, the arcs felt like as flat as paper. They really, really did, especially Harlow's. And also, side note, I fucking hate Harlow's sister so much. Like, oh my God, whenever she was on the page, I was just like, can somebody please take her off the page? Because I could not stand her. Oh my God. Don't get me started on the sister. Don't get me started on the sister. There were so many instances where it was just like she was creating problems for the sake of it. Like for some she just had it out for Harlow. She really, really did. I don't know what the sister's problem was, but she literally just created problems 24/7 just to be able to scream at Harlow over the minute little things. It's just like, girl, get a grip, get a grip. Oh my God. And also, the last four chapters really could have been condensed into like one or two. Like, it just felt like an overly extended epilogue. It really, really did. I don't know why the epilogue went in for so long. I don't know. Anyway, now as for my problems with the audiobook itself, oh, this is the worst audiobook that I've ever read. Oh my God. First of all, the narrators were not level with each other in terms of volume, and especially as a headphone user, like 1 second having a lady in my ear be like very soft, very quiet, and then we go to the next chapter and somebody's practically screaming in my ear. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, disruptive experience to the max. Oh my God. Second of all, there was a man. I don't know why he was included. Apparently, he was included because he was one of the main narrator's husbands, and they have like a narration business. I don't know. Anyway, there is a man who does like the dialogue for all the male characters in this book. When I tell you, and I'm going to say this because I looked it up, because I looked him up, and apparently other people who have listened to other audiobooks narrated by him have this same problem and same questions. They were all looking it up too, so I don't feel as bad saying this. This man, oh my God, he sounded like AI. He literally sounded like one of those AI men that you get for free on the internet. Like, oh my God. I literally did look up to see if he was a real person or if he was AI. He's a real person. He just girl, girl. Dear Lord. Oh my God. Just anyway, third of all, okay, how do I explain this properly? Okay, so it's a dual POV, so one narrator handles one of the character's perspectives, another narrator handles the other character's perspectives, right? Normal narration stuff. This book is edited in a way where, like, when we are in one person's head, the narrator of the other lady will still come in and do the dialogue for her character. So, like, for example, if we were in, like, Jordan's POV and the lady who narrates Jordan is, like, doing her thing, whenever, like, Harlow would start talking, the lady who narrates Harlow would start talking. Vice versa. Vice versa. So, like okay, in theory, like, okay, I see the vision, but like it's so sloppily edited to where whenever it would start happening, whenever the main characters would start talking to each other and it would start switching between the voices over and over again, it's edited so sloppily to where like, stuff would like be abruptly cut off or jump or whatever and stuff like that. And it was just like, okay, stop. Just stop. Oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like, I don't know who edited this book, but like, please never edit an audiobook ever again. Please. Anyway, overall, messy book, messy audio production. Next. Next is Star Wars The High Republic Showdown at the Fair by George Mann. This children's book tells a short story about the criminal organization known as the Nihil staging a terrorist attack on a cultural fair and the Jedi saving the day. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's cute, it's simple, it serves its purpose. What else is there to say about it? The illustrations are quite cute. It's a perfectly fine and decent way to spend 15 minutes. Let's move on. And finally, we have The Lost Sisters by Holly Black. This YA fantasy novella is set after the events of The Cruel Prince and is basically the main character's twin sister, half apologizing, half explaining and justifying her awful actions during the book. And I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Here's the thing. I like the Cruel Prince trilogy. I like the entire Elfhame Folk of the Air universe. However, the Cruel Prince itself is by far my least favorite of the original trilogy. It really, really is. Like, Wicked King and Queen of Nothing are up here. Cruel Prince is down here. Like, no. Anyway, so like a whole novella detailing, like kind of like pseudo recapping the events of the first novel from another point of view. It was never going to be like an all-time favorite for me. So, it wasn't. But like, I didn't hate my time with it. I didn't. I found it my in time perfectly spent. It was a fine time to spend like an hour and a half. I will say also a lot of fans come out of this feeling like, oh my God, my feelings towards Taryn were justified. I hate that witch so much. She's evil and awful. Da, da, da. I personally really don't care enough about Taryn either way. I really don't really care about Taryn. Just so I don't really feel that way. I don't have enough feeling towards Taryn to feel that visceral hate that a lot of fans do. Nor am I like defending her actions or anything. Like I just don't care about Taryn. I'm sorry, I don't. Like I'm glad that I read this because yes, I was feeling the urge to like, oh, is there anything else in the Elfhame universe? I want to revisit that world. So I am glad that I read this, but it's like, it was never going to be a standout favorite for me. Like it's perfectly fine. It perfectly serves its purpose as a novella. So like, yeah, what can you say? And that is everything that I read in September of 2025. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below on what I thought of any of these books, on what you thought of any of these books, if you have read any of them. And yeah, and tell me in the comments what else you read in the month of September. And I think that is about it. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.